if you find somebody good, somebody that can join the team, hopefully be with you for the long term, first impressions are important, and making sure that your house is in order and it's ready to bring talent like that into it. And I felt like we had about 6 to 12 months of getting some things in order before we'd feel comfortable, to at least have that conversation to see if it worked out. I'm glad that it worked out. I'd love to say that we were, our house was entirely in order and we were mature and everything was ready to go. But you came in at a time where we were still in that transition process, and you definitely elevated our game and built an amazing team under you. So I just want to take the moment to say thank you for that.
Oh, no, thank you. And I'm glad you brought me in when you did, because it was fun to kind of help grow and see your vision and kind of work towards getting us there.
It wasn't easy. And it's scary too, because when you get, guys like you, guys like Dave, guys like Matt, ladies like Lauren and Marlis and, the greater team, you never want to scare somebody away, particularly if you feel like they're going to be a good cultural fit and they're going to bring a lot of value to the organization. So I would say that if you do have an opportunity to go out there and grab a killer to get them on the team, just be careful about the timing of that, right? Like, don't be so, in a rush to where you make this like urgent decision, because if you're not ready to receive that person into your organization, it can not work out. So I'm glad that the timing worked out on our end. So let's talk a little bit about your tenure here at Rebel. You've organized the sales team, and I think that you've brought in a lot of fundamentals in, but the people in the team are probably, I think, the most important asset that we have.
100%.
When you're onboarding a new sales guy, whether they're new into sales or whether they've had 20 years of, oil, fuel sales experience, what are you focusing on when a new person joins the team?
I'm looking at how they interact with me, what their background is, kind of what they know, what they don't know. You don't want to have to train somebody out of something. And I'm looking for, for lack of a better word, kind of diversity. When I started, we had basically 3 people in our sales team. And I always wanted to have a lady on our sales team too. I think there's a place that women can get to in our industry that some men wouldn't be able to. And I think the ladies can bring so much to the table. And the ladies that we have on board do bring so much to the table. We're fortunate to have them. But gosh, boy, really just a sense of openness, willingness to learn, and being ready to learn, I would say.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things that we've implemented, and it was actually due to a shortfall on my part, we had hired, director of operations in our northern region. And I remember we were on a call, and, he had been promoted from a management level. So he was now kind of taking over the entire territory. And Paul Brown asked me if I felt like I had properly and adequately onboarded him and trained him for his new role. And I said, yep, absolutely. I think I've done a phenomenal job at that. And he goes, okay, one of the things I do is when I'm onboarding a new team member, I put together a 90-day career, success tracker. So where you're essentially saying for the first 3 months of this role, week 1, we're going to accomplish these things. Week 2, 30, 60, 90 days. And it's not everything that the role encompasses, but you're trying to highlight the foundational elements of what is going to lead to that person being successful in that role. And when he brought that out, I was like, man, that actually is a far better version of what I think I did. So we implemented that. And I think we've been doing that with the sales team now for some years. And I personally feel that it's beneficial. Have you seen that to be impactful for bringing new members in?
Absolutely. It's a great tool to use. There's so many things that need to be learned. Not only, product knowledge. Yeah, that's a big part of it. But it's just, culture, company culture, speaking with people, different ways of handling things, and all that. If you can just keep all that to where you're making sure you're not missing any of that, and then roll them out into the field and get some training doing that. And each salesperson is unique, and they have to find their own way of doing things. But the more exposure they have to that, the better. And that 90-day success tracker, you really don't miss any steps.
In my experience, usually it takes about 6 months whether someone's going to work out in that role. And, talking with Paul Brown, we're like, can we cut that in half? Can we decide within 90 days whether this person's going to be a great long-term fit culturally with the organization, probably the most important element, but also be able to perform the role and meet the expectations of the role. So what I've seen as we've implemented that is we've actually cut that time frame down from the 6 months of, we don't know if this person's going to work out or not, or we don't know whether or not, we work out for them. Now within 90 days, we know if it's a good fit. Like if it's an issue of, time, energy, resources, training, we can get to all that in the first 90 days. And then it's like, okay, it's not a process issue. It's not a resource issue. It's not a training issue. You've been provided the tools. maybe it's not a good fit. And you know that within the first 3 months, and then you can, separate, go different ways if it doesn't work out, or, boom, this person has a good foundation. They're going to be successful individually. But as a sales team, because I've run into this at other companies, some sales teams are very toxic. There's a lot of infighting. You could have territorial disputes. You could have account level disputes. I feel like we don't have any of that here. And I really think it's due to your leadership, because you're not that type of guy. You definitely want to share the love, and you also want people to be successful. You want them to be the best version of themselves. It shows because there's really little to no drama. And oftentimes you have more than one salesperson or saleswoman that's out there supporting each other, because they know that, like, hey, if this guy comes, I'm going to have a higher likelihood of success. And they team up and they go out there to take care of the customers.
100%. And again, I will say this over and over again. I've been so fortunate in my career that I've had very good mentors, and I've seen so many good things, and I've seen so many things that I didn't like and didn't want. And, I'd always thought if I was ever given the chance, this is not the environment that I'd want to have for a team. But a gentleman named Denver Miller hired me in at Beck Oil with Corey Beck. Corey was a great mentor, kind of gave me my first introduction to the retail side of the industry, where I'd always done wholesale. But Denver kind of took me along, and then at a certain point in his career, he had a great opportunity to move to the Yankovic Company. And I was so devastated. I was like, oh man, this guy has always been like rock, and I could bounce things off of him. And what am I going to do? And it's, as good as it was for him, it was also good for me, because it forced me to take on some things on my own. But then about 6 months later, Denver called me up and says, hey, I have a position here that's open that might just be perfect for you. Would you be interested? And so we met, and it was a good position, and I took it there and got to work with him again. But again, I learned so many good things from him. So, and I've always tried to bring those along with me from career to career. And I think salesmen learn best from other salespeople. So you're right, working with other salespeople. But the team we have here is fantastic. We have so many different personalities, and everybody works very well together, and they're very supportive. And that's one thing I stress. I don't want to have that work environment where you're afraid to leave something on your desk because
hyper competitive. Yeah.
The other salesperson might steal it from you. We don't have that here. And you and Christy are a big reason for that too. You would not allow that culture here, but you've given us a culture of strength, support, very good operations department here that always is supportive of us.
Yeah, I mean, operations is the one that executes everything we promise.
Absolutely.
We can say anything, but if we don't have a strong operations team, Matt, Jared, Charlie, managers, those guys out in the field, the drivers in particular, which is the backbone of the operation, if they don't do their job, it doesn't matter what we say.
Right.
Because that's reality.
Yeah.
You said you were going to get it here on time in this time window. You said that the price was going to be this. You said that on the administrative side, you had your house in order, but you failed.
They can make you a hero or a zero.
Yeah, you can have the most talented sales team in the world, but if you can't execute operationally, it doesn't matter.
They are our hidden gem. Our operations people, the dispatch people, our drivers are fantastic. And a lot of times your drivers are the ones seeing your customers more often than not. And our drivers are very good. And a lot of that is the training and the support that they've been given from right from the top.
Well, that's because I think we're not wasting our time, with infighting within the sales team and that business development component. So you can invest more time, with training in your operations team. So you understand that, hey, our drivers are squared away. Our ops team is squared away. Like, we're going to make whatever we promised, we're actually going to over deliver on that promise and take care of the customers. Because that's what it's about. Without customers, none of us have a job. So we got to take care of them. I think one of the things that we focus on so that there isn't a dramatic culture here in our company is, we remind people, when tensions get high and whatnot, that the enemy is outside the wire. We don't need to be fighting ourselves. Like, we can have honest discord, and you can be excited during that process as long as you're maintaining that respect level and you're working towards a solution. It's all good. You got to be fair, you got to be frank, you got to be concise, get to the point, but none of this fighting. It's counterproductive to the mission.
100% counterproductive, exactly.
So you bring in, new salespeople, you make sure you have that cultural element. You have to make sure your ops team is squared away. As you're seeing a younger salesperson get out in the field more and they're dealing with customers maybe for the first time, what do you have them focus on? Is it building a relationship? Is it product knowledge? Is it technical acumen? I mean, when you're telling someone that you need to start developing, this account relationship, what would you rather they focus on? Pricing, product, relationship?
I think it's personal relationships. People do business with people.
Yep.
Product knowledge, you'll always get there. And it's okay to not know something. Be honest with your customer and say, hey, I don't know, but I'll find out and I'll get back to you tomorrow. And then deliver on that. You're from the moment you meet a customer, you're being judged, you're being gauged. So when you say something, you have to follow through on that.
That's the biggest thing. I mean, that's in our core values, and the behaviors that associated to those core values is do what you say you're going to do.
Absolutely.
Nobody twisted your arm and told you to promise that thing. But if you do promise that thing, you better charge through a wall to make sure that it happens, right? Like, we're not out there advocating that you make promises, but if you do, you have to follow through on it.
Yes.
Or else your word means nothing, and then your reputation's damaged.
Your customer has to be confident that they're working with the right person and that they're working with somebody that they can trust and count on, because things are going to happen. Things are going to go wrong. That's just the way it is.